Exclamation, everybody, and welcome to 2015, and welcome to Cube Ramblings as well. Oh, it's for me, January the 3rd, 2015. We're into brand new year of Cube Ramblings. As we continue on, it's actually a little side note, episode 75 of Cube World that I have recorded. So you can do a little bit of math there and figure out how many hours of recording how many hours I've been playing Cube World in addition to that. So everyone's approximately an hour except for the very first couple ones. So it's I've been playing for quite some time in this game, and I still enjoy the heck out of it. Still on my quest to find the elusive lava fire biome that I have not found yet. So that's why I keep traveling, doing a lot of traveling in a lot of episodes, not necessarily sticking around in one place and fighting all the things that I can fight. But I think since it's been so elusive, I think the next couple of weeks I'm going to just I'm going to still do a lot of traveling in the world, but I think I'm going to focus a little bit more on doing some more boss battles, clearing out finding more, castles and the various things around there, trying to take my time a little bit more. I've been trying to avoid the snow biomes as much as possible because they get really boring, really boring to look at after a while. So I've been trying to stick with, the jungle and the forested biomes because there's always something nice, something cool to see there. And obviously the same goes for the ocean biomes. I try to avoid them as much as I possibly can. You've probably seen that if you're every so often glance over and see me trying to figure out what biome I should go into next or what direction I should go next. But yeah, it's a brand new year, 2015. Still a very slow news cycle. Slow enough that the only noteworthy thing that seems to have happened, other than a Steam thing, is that there was most of the major video game sites, article sites, picked up on someone made a Quake run on an oscilloscope. I mean, when your lead stories are that, you're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit. So what I will note here is that apparently Steam hit another record on January 1st. They had 8.47 million concurrent users playing games on Steam on the 1st of January. Now, there are some reports that there were some edits I saw along the way that said it's over 8.5 million now concurrent. That I think that was hit after January 1st. I don't know if it was hit the day of or after, but at least on the 1st of January, on New Year's, it was 8.47 million from the articles that I read, and I'll link you to that. There are not going to be a whole lot of links in the description this time around because there's not a whole lot that I'm going to actually cover as far as the news goes. It's just there hasn't been a whole lot of noteworthy things yet as far as general gaming news. Instead, I'm just going to do my normal sort of vloggy ramblings and various other things of that nature, trying to stay on topic of games and on topic of the channel, but still, very, very unstructured is the word I was looking for. So what did I think of 2014? 2014 was an awesome year. I feel like a lot of things happened. I mean, there was, as with any year, some good points and some bad points. But I think for me personally, 2014 was a particularly good year. I started this channel late into 2013, and I did it as a means. I did it really because I was a big fan of Let's Plays. I watch a lot of Let's Players, subscribe to quite a few, and I felt like I wanted to get some of the same enjoyment that they were exhibiting in their videos with playing games and recording themselves at the same time. I wanted to see what it was like, and I also wanted to. I was also hoping that it would help me to sort of break out of the I guess social shell, if you will, that I have. And it's not really, that's sort of an inaccurate description. It's not like I'm a social pariah or anything like that. It's more of a being able to speak at length about things and just have the strength to really just articulate or try and attempt to articulate the things that are in my brain a lot better than I normally do. Most of the time, and this has been a case for me for quite some time, is I tend to be better at writing. At least in the past, I was tended to be better at writing stuff out, and I still do to a certain extent. I still am a little bit better at it because it gives me a chance to revise. I'm one of those revisionist guys. I just go and I revise a draft, revise constantly. And it helps me out, with my daily work too, where, I might write some computer code, and I might rewrite it about 6 times before I'm happy with it, and that helps out tremendously with the quality of it as it comes out the other side usually. So that's why I tend to be a lot more, I feel, succinct and able to express myself a little bit better in writing. But I wanted to make sure that I developed my vocalizations too, because I just don't convey things very well through spoken word. So it was a part of me that I identified personally that I wanted to work on, and I'll be honest, 2014 showed me that I can grow in that realm a lot more than I thought I could. Going in, I've made a lot more growth there, I think, than I had initially thought. To the point where, I can sit here with very few notes and still feel confident that I can get about an hour recording done here, and have things to talk about. It's very, very crazy to consider that, I started out with not being able to even do 15 minutes at a time, and tremendous amount of nervousness and everything else. And now it's just sort of almost second nature now. I can fire up a live stream whenever I feel like it, and not have to prep beforehand necessarily. Or I can fire up a recording and not necessarily have to spend 20 minutes beforehand just getting up the nerve to hit record, which, to be honest with you, is what I was struggling with when I first started recording. In fact, it's 90% of the reason why when I initially started doing YouTube videos, they were all post commentary, was because I would spend 20-30 minutes just sitting here waiting to hit record, trying to convince myself to hit record before I could actually build up the nerve to do it. And now I'm at a point where I can do live commentary. It's not the greatest of commentary. I still feel like my post commentary was a lot better in many respects, because I had time to sort of digest what happened, and I could crack jokes and other things like that, things that don't necessarily come to my mind while I'm trying to divide my attention between playing and also recording. But I still seem to get a few quips in there from time to time. So that's something for 2015 I'm trying to improve upon. I'm trying to actually, allow myself, I guess, or enable myself to actually be a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more funny in some of my recordings, trying to let the jokes flow a little bit easier than they do right now. But that's, you can't really, I don't think you can really train yourself to be funny. It's just something you have to just let it rip sometimes. So that's sort of that's where I need to get my mentality straightened out with, is being able to just sort of be, as I would call it, constantly partially drunk. Or partially inebriated, not drunk, but inebriated. Record as though I've had a beer. So that's where you're a little bit more comfortable. You're not as what's the term they use? Not uptight, but you're not so self-conscious, I guess. You know what I mean? You're just kind of letting it go a little bit, letting it hang out a bit. Letting the shirt tail out a little bit. But that's something I'm going to try to work on myself for 2015. Also, I still have a bunch of things on the channel I need to do, like getting a new, I still need to record this. I just keep, it's in the back of my head, and it's getting to the point where I just need to do it. I need to record a new end slate and edit together a new end slate for my stuff. So everything's got a little fresh coat of paint. At some point, I would like to fix or change the banner on my YouTube channel, but being as though I'm not an artist, I'm not going to even attempt that until I have some kind of idea as to what I'm going to do there with that. So I'm just gonna let that roll for as long as I can, I think. And as far as the games go, I've been on vacation for a couple weeks now. I actually go back to work on Monday, so my vacation is almost up, but it's been a very fruitful one. This is, of all the week-long or so vacations that I take in the past, or I've taken in the past, and I've used to try to catch up with YouTube stuff, this has been the most fruitful holiday that I've taken in recent times, as far as the YouTube goes. I've recorded a lot of stuff. I was able to do a bunch of live streams. I have a bunch of recorded live streams that I'm going to start putting out on the channel. Some of them. Some of the other ones I may not do because I was playing music during the time. And it's OC Remix music, so it shouldn't be that bad, but I don't want to have to... I would rather not push my luck with it when I can't give it full credit in the description, as well as on the screen. But I want to, so I'm going to get a few of those out. I have one of Ironcast that I want to get out at some point. Also on Friday, yesterday for me, I recorded Evil Quest. I was looking for something to record, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I was looking for something to record, and I was looking through my library, and I'm like, I have this game called Evil Quest. I bought it a while ago because it had a cool concept. It was like, hey, we're going to be a 8-bit/16-bit style RPG, but instead of you being the hero, you're an evil character. I thought, oh, that's kind of a neat idea. And I bought it, and then I proceeded to never do anything with it. And I was like, well, you know what? Let's dig into it. And it's interesting. It's I'm going to put up the videos of it. I record it for over 3 hours, so I'm probably going to split it up into 1.5-hour segments, maybe, or maybe even hour segments. I'm not quite sure yet. And I think I'm going to put one segment up after this video. And I think Sunday afternoons, 2:30 Eastern time, I think it'll be the slot where I'm going to put some of the recorded live streams that I do. So I'm going to put probably the first part of that up after this. And I want to, it was one of those games that, as I was playing, I was getting very frustrated. Like, oh man, this is really terrible. I was dying a lot and everything else. I was having some troubles. And, the whole time while you're playing it, or while I was playing it anyway, I kept getting this feeling like, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of into the game, but I'm kind of not. It's kind of doing some good things, but it's also kind of doing some infuriating things. And then and I felt that way sort of the whole way through the live stream. And then I got done with the live stream, and I stopped everything, and I looked at the time, and I was like, wait, I have been streaming this for over 3 hours, and I'm thinking to myself, like, you know what? The game was actually pretty good. I mean, it wasn't blowing my skirt up by any stretch of the imagination, but it was like good enough that I sat there for that whole time, and I was engaged. I was enjoying what I was doing. I was really engaged in it. In fact, engaged enough that I think next Friday I'm going to pick up and try to finish the game in the live stream. I've gotten, I think, 3/4 of the way through it. Now, that's assuming that my measure of how long I'm into it is actually accurate, but I'm guessing I'm about 3/4 of the way into it. And I'm thinking I'll finish it up next week, and then that'll be some more videos for Sunday. But yeah, it ended up being a really interesting game. It's I kept going to every village in there, and just there's opportunities in every village to talk to someone, and you end up just killing them because you're a villain. But I found all those opportunities I could along the way, so it's actually fairly interesting. It's fairly cool. If you don't know what Evil Quest is, or you've never heard of it before, you might want to just take a look at it. Again, it's going to be an upload of a live stream, so audio quality is going to be what it is. I can't quite figure out why OBS makes my microphone sound so much worse than it does when I'm recording now, but I guess there's not much I can do about it, right? It is what it is. It's what I use, and I'm sure I'm doing something probably wrong, and that's probably what's causing my problems. But yeah, so it'll be a live stream format. It'll probably be I'm thinking maybe an hour and a half, and then I'll split it up maybe into two pieces, an hour and a half, and then another hour and a half, and then probably the third part will be that live stream. Probably be like a half an hour or so, and then we'll have, maybe I'll tack the next live stream onto it. I'm not sure yet, but that's my running theory as to what it's going to be. I haven't edited anything yet. I intend on editing it after we get here, and it's going to be a straight dump too. I'm not going to edit out all the failures because it would only be about a 45-minute video at that point. But I'm not going to edit out any of the failures or anything like that. I'm just going to let it ride with what we've got. I'll just edit out the beginning when I'm actually getting synced up with audio and all that stuff. But yeah, so I'm going to start doing that a lot more. I'm going to start having Sunday be the, hey, here's a one-off live stream I did, and here's the results of the full live stream. And I'm still going to get back to Divinity Original Sin at some point, but I've been purposely not getting back to it for a while because it's I still have a lot recorded of that I still have to get through, and I'm starting to get through it now. But also it's I have to constantly look up walkthroughs in order to figure out what to do next, which is the part of the game that really kind of ticks me off. It's a really good game. It's just really bad at questing. it just sort of is. It's just like the quest system in the game is the quests are interesting and they're compelling, and the mechanics of the game are compelling, and everything about the game is pretty good. It's just the game falls flat on its face by not, like, in my humble opinion, it falls flat on its face by not giving you even an inkling of what you need to do next. Like, I really need a hint button. Is what I really need, because there are quests in my quest book that I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next to get rid of this. Like, you feel like you're done with a quest, but it still won't go away until there's just one more thing you got to do that doesn't make any sense that you got to do, but you got to do it. So it's that kind of thing that sort of ticks me off a little bit about the game. But other than that, I'm really enjoying it, and I intend on getting back into it. in addition to that, last week I started playing Signs of Life, and I've played a little bit of that game off camera, so I understood some of it. I'm trying to understand more of it. I really don't know what the progression system is like in the game yet. Like, I don't know what the end state is yet, and it's still alpha, so there really probably isn't an end state yet. It's because, like when you look at something like Terraria, right? It's like, oh, get all the best, here's all the boss monsters you got to fight. Here's all the best armor you need to get, and you can kind of see where you need to go for it, kind of. For this one, I don't know yet because it doesn't seem like it's at that point in development yet where there's a clear progression. But at the same point, when I go on the wiki for it, it's one of those wiki games, right, where you got to kind of look on the wiki to see what to do. They're still working, I think, on the tutorial as I speak. But you go on the wiki to figure out what you need to do, like getting started and all that stuff, and it kind of tells you what you got to do, but at the same time, it doesn't tell you really much of anything. The wiki's pretty sparse, so I'm hoping that I can figure out what to do next. I mean, I have an idea of what I'm going to do in the next episode. I'm just not quite sure what I'm going to do in episode, say, 20. Right? If we even make it to episode 20. And again, I'm still treating that as more of a occasional game, because again, I still haven't quite figured out how to progress in it yet. And I do want to, at some point in time, get back into Starbound. I could get into the nightlies. I know that they released a nightly the other week that was pretty, or I'm sorry, not a nightly, an unstable build the other week that was pretty extensive. But I've been putting that off until it gets a little bit more stable before I dig that back into Starbound, I think. In the meantime, yeah, I'm going to keep looking at Signs of Life, and maybe there's more there under the covers that I haven't seen yet. That's why I'm giving it a fair shake to see what I can get out of it. And the reason I did that was because as far as Livecraft Mine goes, the Minecraft server has been down. So I haven't been able to record anything. In fact, Toad had posted a thing on Reddit saying that he had given out Christmas gifts to everybody, and I intended on getting back on the server to see what he had given me, and I couldn't. The server was down. The server is still down. We did get an update today, though, on the Reddit, saying that the hard drive, the SSD that's in that server is kaput. It is no more. It has ceased to be. So it's unrecoverable. So they're going to get another hard drive in there, and Jonesy and Toad put up a poll asking us what we want to do. Jonesy has a backup of the server, from what I understand, but it's a month old, so we're going to lose everything from December, I would imagine, and probably partial November stuff as well. Which, I mean, I did a bunch of finishing up work in December, which means I probably lost all that quartz and stuff that I gave out, which is gonna kind of suck, because that was a nice quartz haul, and I'm gonna have to probably refinish the some of my builds. But other than that, I mean, it can't be helped. It is what it is. There was, Toad put up a poll asking us what we wanted, as far as do we want to reset the map and do a brand new map, or do we want to restore the month-old backup? And I looked at the results, and it was actually split half and half. The way I approach this is, if it were just my builds, I would say screw it, we'll start over. But since there are other people on the server who have equally large builds, if not larger. And for that matter, just because we have other people on the server who are active, I immediately vote for, restoring the backup. And I do that out of courtesy to them, because I feel like while I don't care much about my builds, and I always approach Minecraft from the perspective of I'm probably going to lose everything, so don't get too attached to anything, particularly with multiplayer. Others don't, and I feel like to be fair to them, I will always vote for restoring backups whenever possible. Unless I'm the only holdout, in which case I will say yes, go ahead and wipe everything. But if there are others who want to restore the backup, then I will always side with them, because to me it comes down to this, and I think this is what, and I don't want to criticize the Minecraft guys, because I really enjoy their content. But I think if there's a lesson to be learned there, it's that I very much come from the perspective of Minecraft is a very large procedurally generated world. It's not infinite, but it's sufficiently large as to be infinite. Let's put it that way. And the way I tend to approach it is, if people want a quote-unquote map reset, I would say, and others don't, then I would say the best thing to do at that point is to have an admin fly out 100,000 blocks in some random direction, reset the server spawn there, right? Anybody who wants a new map just breaks their beds and kills themselves, right? And they'll end up out in the new server spawn, and then they can just start over from scratch, because 100,000 blocks, they're probably not going to walk all the way back to get all their supplies. They're probably going to start over from scratch at that point. And, you have to kill yourself to get out there, so you're going to drop everything that you had in your inventory. So they can do that, and anybody who didn't want to do that, well, they just keep their beds intact and they keep on playing like they're playing. Now, granted, it does kind of fracture a little bit the community, where instead of everybody playing together, you've got like a little segment of people over in one area of the world and another segment of people over in the other area of the world. But I mean, that barrier is more of a it's an overcoming, it's a barrier that can be overcome, right? Like, there's nothing that necessarily stops those players from traveling to one another. Well, that is assuming that they'll tunnel to each other in the nether and have a nether tunnel that connects the two eventually. But it is, at the same time that I say that, yes, it is a large enough move that it probably wouldn't be that practical. So maybe 100,000 blocks is not quite the way to go. Maybe 10,000 is more the speed, but I think you kind of get where I'm going with that. So yeah, that's the way I voted. I voted just restore the map, and then if it ends up that everybody wants a new map, a brand new map, then I'm all for that. Just, if there's any holdouts, I want them to not feel like they're holding people back, right? I just rather, there's a lot of builds on there that have put a lot of time and effort into them, and it'd be a shame for all that to be lost to time. But that's what's going on with LCM. So that's why there's not going to be any LCM videos until the server has been repaired. So I'm assuming that's going to take another couple weeks probably. So in the meantime, I'm going to be playing some more of Signs of Life. Maybe I'll dig into Starbound. I'm not quite sure. I'll probably not, but it depends on what my recordings of Signs of Life are like. If I get into a point in Signs of Life where I have no idea what to do next, and I have like a 5-minute video and nothing more, then yeah, I'll probably have to find something else to do there. But other than that, I have, as far as recording goes, I've recorded a ton of Rollers of the Realm, so expect that for quite some time. I've recorded a ton of Deus Ex Human Revolution. I'm almost finished the game. I feel like I'm at a point now where, because the point I'm at now, the game has sort of given me like different perspectives. And I remember from the original Deus Ex, when the game started to give you like different perspectives, like, hey, you should go do this. And then someone else says, no, hey, you should go do this. That usually means you're getting to the end of the the end of the game, usually, because I know at the end of Deus Ex, there was like 3 different paths, 3 different endings, right? And each one, right before the ending, right before you got to that point where you had to make the decision, those guys were like really ranting at you about, hey, you should do this, or hey, you should do that, or hey, you should do this, to try to convince you one way or the other. And Deus Ex Human Revolution is at that point now where it's doing that. Like, I've gotten 2 different perspectives now suddenly, so I feel like I'm probably very, very close to the end of the game. So I'll be finishing that up soonish. I don't know how many videos are going to come out of it. I think I have 2 from the session I did a week or 2 ago. So those will be going up this weekend. And then I've got, I think I did 3 or 4 from another session after that. So we're looking at least maybe 42, 43 episodes right now. And then I still haven't finished the game yet, so it might be another 2 episodes after that, probably. So we'll say a round number, about probably 45, 46 maybe. But I still don't know yet, so we'll see. It might extend it even more. It might stretch out even more than that. So that's cool. I'll probably have that done relatively soon. I'll probably sit down and just try to bang out the rest of it. I tend to play that on the weekends because I like to sit down and play for a couple hours at a time. Given its RPG nature, that seems to be the best way of getting a lot of progress done. So I'll probably wait for that, and I have plenty already recorded as it is to get through a couple weeks. So I think we're good on that. And at some point I need to finish up Rollers of the Realm. I don't know how much more of that I have. I would say probably, I would guess I'm about halfway through the game at this point. And I have plenty of stuff recorded already for that. So we're just going through pre-recorded stuff now. Stuff that I've recorded during my holiday right now. And Forza Horizon 2, I have been playing through the DLC of that. You saw the first episode of the DLC go up yesterday, or today for me, and I'm making very steady progress on that. I've done a few of the bucket list challenges, but most of the bucket list challenges are the real painful ones, right? That are just like ridiculous. So I won't be doing a whole lot of those, unfortunately. But I do go through a bunch of the tiers. I'm not finished the DLC yet on that, so we still have quite some time to go on that game yet. And then I started to look at some other things that I've had in the back of my head for additional things I want to do. So obviously I've been going through recorded stuff from Divinity Original Sin, so that's come back, and I'm seeing some good views on it. So I'm hoping that everybody's cool with it. That's all the stuff that I recorded from several live stream sessions back in August. It's been that long. It's crazy pants. So August and September I have from that. We still have plenty to go on that. I've talked about the Minecraft stuff. So what is the future of the Minecraft stuff? I'm going to continue playing it in whatever form it's in. I'm sort of at that point. Like I've mentioned this a couple times where I have on again and off again feelings about Minecraft. Like it's very hard sometimes to get inspiration for what you want to do in the game. I still have ideas for things I want to do. I don't know what form they're going to take. I've been seriously considering, and this has nothing to do with the server outage or anything else. This is something that's been on my mind for a while. I've been seriously considering doing either doing a slightly vanilla single player world, or doing a adventure mode type of thing. And what I mean by that is I've been looking at to see if there's a way that I can get. I've been, I play Cube World all the time, at least once a week here, and I was looking at are there mods in Minecraft that make Minecraft look a heck of a lot like Cube World in that, you have these things to explore, you have castles to explore, you have enemies to conquer, you have sort of RPG-ish mechanics where you've got different armors that you can obtain and build and things like that. And there are quite a few mods that, if you were to combine them, would get you some of the experience of Cube World. So I've been sort of debating in my head, do I want to do that? And then of course, on top of that, you've got all the building mechanics, which you don't have in Cube World, which would be kind of cool. Or do I want to go with a more mostly vanilla thing where I just do, say Minecraft's 1.7.10 or 1.8, hopefully, if there's enough mods for it yet. And it's mostly vanilla, but I have a few time-saving things in there. Like I was thinking of, getting like, it'll be vanilla, but I'll have tree capitator, for instance, so that I don't have to spend all my time chopping down every piece of wood in a tree. I can just go, and just knock it right down in one shot. Like biomes of plenty, just because it adds a nice little touch of biomes to the world. And say computer craft, so that I can get turtles to do a lot of the mining and do a lot of the menial tasks that I don't really want to spend time on. That way I can run a server locally and have them doing their thing, overnight while I'm asleep, and then I come back and I've got resources that I need. In addition to that, if I want to really do that, I would need the chicken chunks core and all that stuff to have the chunk loaders and all that fun stuff. And then probably that would be it, right? It would just be mostly vanilla, but just some of those things. I was thinking of maybe adding like a Galactic Craft or something to it to try to give it like, hey, you can do all these new worlds and stuff, but I probably wouldn't do that. If I wanted to keep it mostly vanilla, it would be probably mostly vanilla. But I don't know. I have such a terrible track record when it comes to Minecraft single player, or for that matter, Minecraft in general. Just because the game is largely... So even though... I was doing a little bit of research. Let's be completely honest here. I went on a bunch of the YouTubers that I watch. So I looked at Generic B, I looked at B00's channel, I looked at Kurt's channel, I looked at Kurt J. Max, I looked at Paul Soares Jr. a little bit. These are all guys that I subscribe to. I looked at Vintage Beef's channel, again, another guy that I subscribe to. And I was just kind of looking at their views on... looking at their videos, at how many views were on their videos and the different types of videos that they do. And I noticed a trend, right? I noticed that, for instance, generic B, he gets something like roughly 85,000 views per Minecraft series, per modded Minecraft series, I should say. So the Flyboys stuff and the crash landing stuff or HQM stuff, whatever it's called, whatever one he's doing. He seems to get about 85,000 views over a period of, say, 2 weeks. His other series, like Bully and what was the other one? Far Cry 4, getting like 20,000. So big difference there. Beef was very similar. I mean, Beef has over a million subscribers, and very similar numbers there. Whenever he does a vanilla Minecraft episode, he'll get about 100,000 views, and over a course of like 2 weeks. And these are just public numbers I'm looking at. I just looked at their channels and I looked at their views. What was on there? I didn't do any like tabulation or anything. These are just general ballpark things that I saw. And whereas his other videos, like if he does, I think he was doing Dragon Age Inquisition, and what's the other one? He had well, he's doing diversity, but that's Minecraft, so that counts towards the 100,000, which actually is one of his more popular series, it looks like. But I'm trying to think. He's doing Dragon Age Inquisition, and then there was something else on his channel too that was non-Minecraft. And I noticed that they were getting like 20 to 30,000 views, and his Minecraft stuff's like 100,000. Especially the like vanilla server stuff, like 100,000, like right off the bat. So the weird thing there is, and I want to preface all this by saying, views don't really matter to me because I do this for fun, right? It matters to them because they have to make a living off of what they're doing. They do it full time, and it's views equal money, and money equals food on the table. So to them it matters much more than it does to me. To me, it's just they're just numbers. It's just gauging interest in things, and I mean, I'll play a game. let's put it this way: there are games on my channel that have 0 views for the entire run of the game, and I'm perfectly cool with that. Just I enjoyed the game, whether anybody else enjoyed it or not is gravy to me. It's not the be all or do all to what I decide to play, but I do like to. I was interested in seeing what the viewership is looking at as far as things to go, as far as series and everything else, because it feels like, particularly with Minecraft, it feels like a lot of longtime Minecraft people, YouTubers, are really tired of it. and I've always said that I have an on again, off again thing about Minecraft, where I've been playing since alpha. I've seen a lot of things. It's just there's not a whole lot has changed in the game. Even though we've gotten a lot of blocks, we've gotten a lot of building materials and everything else, it's still fundamentally a grind in most cases. The mods help a lot with the grind, because you can set up a little mini server and just have it run overnight and grind out all the materials that you don't really care to sit there and do. But it's still a bit of a grind. And I've noticed that there's a lot of people have switched over a lot. A lot of people are doing single player stuff now and not really doing multiplayer stuff. And it's I just wanted to gauge what the interest was, as far as I can see what the interest is for YouTubers, and that in that regard it seems to be waning a bit. But I wanted to see what the interest was as far as viewers go, and it seems like the viewers are still rolling in for those things. But it's to me, I feel like, you know, there will always be a place on my channel for Minecraft, but I never wanted to make my channel be a Minecraft channel. I've seen there's plenty of YouTubers out there whose entire channel is just Minecraft, and that is true of any game. Like I don't want any one game to dominate my channel. Now, there might be a genre that dominates my channel. Like I do a lot of RPG games because I love RPG games. I'm doing a lot of real-time strategy games, which is really unheard of for me because I've never really been a big real-time strategy guy, but the games that I found have been appealing enough to me as a non-real-time strategy guy that I'm like, this is okay. This is okay. This is on my channel this much. And sci-fi, obviously. Sci-fi themes will dominate pretty much most of my stuff because I'm a big sci-fi geek. But, I never wanted it to be like I do all Call of Duty stuff, or I do only, Halo stuff, or I do only this or that. I wanted there always to be a variety because I play a variety of games and I enjoy playing a variety of games. So I was just trying to gauge interest on what people were looking at because honestly, Minecraft, as I said, will always have a place on my channel, but I'm really considering even reducing the amount that I do now on it, and mostly it's because I feel like I do a really poor job of it because I don't spend enough time in Minecraft to really do something respectable usually, and I think some of that is also my overreaching. Like I build too large, and I really should build smaller things to sort of compensate for the fact that I don't spend a whole lot of time in there. Like I'm not on the server for hours and hours on end. I'm usually, if I'm on there for 3 hours, that's probably means I'm doing a live stream, right? If you see me on there for more than 3 hours, it's either I'm either sitting at a zombie grinder or I'm just somehow got some stroke of inspiration, right? Because I just don't. It keeps my attention, and I can play it in short spurts, but I can't play it in long periods of time. It gets too, for me personally, a little bit too boring. And yes, this is coming from the guy who continues to play Cube World for hours on end every week, which is probably the most grindy thing you could ever play right now because there's very little content in here, but it's it feels different, I guess. I guess it's the newness of it hasn't worn off yet. I would imagine, in a year's time, maybe I'd be so sick of Cube World that you'll never see it again on my channel. It's entirely possible, or even 6 months for that matter. Who knows? I am level 173 here, so there's not much more I can do with this character. I could roll a new character. I've been kind of saving that in the hopes that we get another update soon, so that I would do the new update as a new character and in a new world, and just keep this world here as a legacy thing that I could jump back into again and say, hey, remember this? But that doesn't seem to be forthcoming anytime soon. So I'm sort of in a wait and see limbo right now, just to try to figure out what to do with it. But at the same time, it gives me a vehicle to just sit here and ramble about things, which I was kind of starting to do a little bit in Minecraft too, because again, it's a sandbox game. It's kind of hard to keep it interesting unless you ramble about something. But it's better spent here, I think, than in some of the other games. And also, I love playing sandbox games. It's just very hard to make interesting content in them nowadays, unless you have a plan as to how you're going forward on things, or there's a progression system of some kind that's very, very valid and drawn out, I guess. So so that's kind of where I stand there. Also, I've been looking at, I feel like I started to come to some sort of conclusion with that, and then I just said, screw it. That's all I'm going to say. So I apologize if you were expecting some sort of conclusion to come from all that rambling. I just I've lost the will. I've lost the will to come up with a conclusion. The other thing that I'm looking at as far as games go on the channel now, the Steam winter sale just got done, as far as I know. I think it's done completely now. And I picked up quite a few things. There's something I picked up that I'm still on the fence about, and I've been on the fence about it for a long time. But it was so cheap, I was like, you know what? Let's just try it and see. I picked up Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, which was the standalone expansion for Far Cry 3. Now, here's why I'm on the fence about it. I'm not big on Crysis or Far Cry 3 franchises. They just never really appealed to me. Neither one of them. And I'm not sure why. It's just a feeling. Like, they just never... This coming from a guy who enjoyed Just Cause 2, which is kind of the same vein as Far Cry, but for some reason I enjoyed that more than every time I look at Far Cry, I'm like, I don't see the appeal. I know that you tend to play it for the story, and again, I've played Saints Row the Third, and I love that, so I can't really articulate why Far Cry and Crysis never really worked on my brain to the point where I wanted to play them. I never felt like it, and I never felt compelled to do it. And there was one exception to that, and I've constantly looked at it, and I've always thought, it's Far Cry still. I'm like, I don't know about it. It's still Far Cry. And that was the Blood Dragon expansion that they did, standalone expansion. It's the reason it initially appeals to me is because it takes that whole tongue-in-cheek sort of 80s humor, and it just sort of like, here's 80s futurism right here, and it just makes total fun of itself, and it doesn't take anything seriously. And from that perspective, it was very appealing to me, because I'm like, oh, that's really kind of cool. But then I kept looking at it, I'm like, but it's still Far Cry. It's still those same mechanics, like, oh, here's a tower, here's yet another tower to take over, and here's another tower to take over, and here's another, another fetch and retrieve mission, and granted, that was very similar to Saints Row, but it's just, I don't know, it just never really, I've always been on the fence about it. And then, in the last sale, it was like $3.75 US. I'm like, well, screw it. Let me just buy it. Let me just buy it and see. So I may take a look at that at some point. If I do, it might be a, hang on, I'm going to sneeze for a minute. Never mind. Don't have to sneeze after all. I might have to sneeze now that I said that, but I wanted to mute the mic so I wouldn't max out the voice here. But if I dig into that, I might dig into it in a live stream and then maybe post the live stream to YouTube. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure, because it feels like one of those things where I should probably just live stream, because there's a lot of downtime in the game. But then again, it really depends on what I feel like, because I do like to edit things too. Editing is kind of, it can be tedious, but I like to have edited stuff on the channel more than unedited stuff. So it might be one of those situations where I've got too much unedited stuff on the channel. Now it's time to dig my heels in, like with Divinity Original Sin, and edit it. so that it's more interesting to deal with. Particularly if there's a lot of repetitive stuff in it, I would probably have to edit a bunch of it. But I might look at that at some point. We'll see. We'll see what happens there with that. In addition to that, I have gotten a virtual machine up and running with Windows XP. I had a copy of Windows XP around that was just waiting to be used. So I have a virtual machine for it running Windows XP. And I was able to get Star Trek Away Team to work, although I realized when I started, I was test recording it, and it's, first of all, it's like 640 by 480, and you can't, there's no other resolution options, so it's going to be a 480p one, which is fine, but it also crashes quite a bit, so hopefully, and I remembered after it started crashing in this one spot, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this was a problem when I played it way back in the day. So hopefully it'll behave itself enough that I can maybe start doing some recordings of that, because that's a fantastic game. I really want to get a I really want to get a Star Wars game on my channel. And I really want to get a Star Trek game on my channel at some point, because I love both of those franchises. So it seems fitting to get them on there. That also means that because I have the virtual machine running and I've tested a recording from it, that I can dig into Birth of the Federation as well at some point, which is also a fantastic game. As far as I remember, it's a fantastic game. It might not hold up over time after having played all the games I played now, but back in the day, I remember it was fantastic. And that also opens up other possibilities for me as well. I can play some of the other old games that I have lying around rather than having to buy them again from GOG. So that's cool. So might have another classic or old school game on the channel at some point in the future in 2015. I can't tell you when because I haven't started recording them, and Lord only knows what other things are going to come out. I've got so many games that I've kickstarted that are starting to actually gain traction and start to get like alphas out, that I'm going to be pretty busy looking at a lot of those games. I've also there's this MMO game that I recently became aware of called the Repopulation, and normally MMOs are not that appealing to me because they're multiplayer. I just don't do multiplayer that well. Like a lot of MMOs sort of encourage you to do, raids and all that stuff, and I just don't have the wherewithal to schedule gaming sessions, and I don't have the wherewithal to really deal with people online necessarily. I know how terrible that sounds, but it's sometimes I'm just an old man yelling at the kids to get off his lawn. And the other thing about that too is, I played Star Trek Online for a while, but after a while it just gets very, you pretty much understand everything, like all the missions look the same after a while. And I never played WoW. I'm one of those few people who has never played World of Warcraft. I've never had a World of Warcraft account. It never was appealing to me. That said, this game is a take on Star Wars Galaxies, sort of. It's a sci-fi game. It's a sci-fi MMO. It's got some building mechanics, so it's got some sandboxy mechanics in it. But it's one of those things like they compare themselves to Star Wars Galaxies a lot, where you have quests and everything else, but really the game exists for you to have a profession and just kind of do what you want to do. Much like the old Star Wars Galaxies before they changed it, the new changes that they made, or New Order, whatever they call it. So because of that, and because Star Wars Galaxies, I never had a chance to play Star Wars Galaxies because, again, it was an MMO and it just never appealed to me at the time. But I've heard that it was fantastic in the old school way, like before they changed it, before they revamped it, that it was quite a fantastic game. As far as, you know, you have a profession and you can do whatever you want, and, you know, maybe you just want to go dancing on a bar or something like that instead of actually doing a daily quests or something like that. And, you know, it had progression and pathing and all that stuff. So, given that, I thought, let me give this a try and see what it's like. So I bought into that. I supported them on Kickstarter, or it wasn't Kickstarter, it was some other, I think it was an indie, well, maybe it was a Kickstarter thing, I'm not quite sure. I went on their website, they had the crowdfunding on their website, and I just did from there. And I have the client download and everything. I just haven't been on the server yet. I haven't been on it to see what it's like, because I just haven't had time. Been going to family and everything else the last couple days. But hopefully I'll sit down with that in a little bit and see what's going on there. See what it's like. I'm kind of curious. So a lot of exciting stuff for 2015. A lot of exciting stuff that I'm going to be working on. And I'm hoping for the best. I'm looking at all the things, and I'm going to keep on keeping on with the channel. So that is the way it was, and that is the way it will be. For the Memory Leak Death channel. All right. Well, I think I've rambled on enough for one day, for one episode of Cube Ramblings. Thank you so much, everyone, for for being here and listening to me ramble. And it was a great 2014, and I hope to see you all, continue to see you all throughout 2015. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next Sunday.